For the final time this season, welcome to Charlton TV. Now, no football for us until August, but we have a cracking show coming up this evening. Over the next 90 minutes, we'll have exclusive interviews with owner Thomas Sandgaard, manager Nigel Atkins, women's head coach Karen Hills, commercial director Wayne Mumford, and academy manager Steve Avery. We will also have a very topical memory lane, as well as answering some of your questions at the end of the show. Now, I'll say over the next 90 minutes, I think we could be needing extra time and penalties the way these two waffle on, but we have to have Alan Curbishley and Steve Brown.
There's only one person that waffles.
I knew it. Boom. First 30 seconds.
Straight in. I've got to be honest with you, Curbs, I'm glad you can make it tonight, because you're a nightmare trying to arrange for a liquid lunch as well. You're busy so often.
I know.
Did he not meet up with you?
I did give you some
Not met
dates.
up. We still can't meet up at the
I
moment.
did send you some dates today, about half a dozen, and you never come back.
Yeah, well.
So perhaps you're just making out we're going out somewhere.
No, we will do, I promise. Let's talk football for a bit, shall we? But Brandy, we'll look at things in more detail a little bit later on. But rewind to full time against Hull here. We won the game but missed out on the playoffs just. What's your overriding feeling now?
Oh, well, I think when you miss out by that small margin of goal difference, you start looking back, don't you, at games where you've dropped points and there's obvious moments. But ultimately, you end with a run of 1 loss in 15 and you miss out on goal difference. So what that does for me, it raises expectation levels because there's a summer coming up. If you look at last summer, we were in a bit of disarray. This summer, we're not. We're very comfortable and we just missed out by goal difference. So every supporter's thinking, with a good summer here, we should be challenging next year. So there's an expectation level, I think, going to happen over the summer that we should be challenging next year. Yeah,
again, Coach, we'll go into more detail a little bit later on. But I certainly felt that although we're gutted not to get into the playoffs, that it's bigger than that at the moment, isn't it? There's a real sense of optimism at the moment.
Yeah, and quite rightly so. I mean, Steve just mentioned there that the fans were the expectation level. Right? Yeah. The expectation level is we've got to get out of this league. We're too big for this league. And my feeling after that whole game was disappointment because I think that firstly, if we would have got in the playoffs, we could have been dangerous. And secondly, there was an opportunity. And, we can look at missed points or drop points or whatever. But you know what? With that home form, you can't really expect to get in the playoffs. How we got near it was quite miraculous, really.
Yeah.
That with a home form.
So after, it's been fantastic, hasn't it? We really enjoyed it as well. The summer's just about here. You going to miss it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it was a bolt out of the blue for me. I got a call to come in, and then obviously, off the back of that, I've commentated on every game. So it's been an absolute delight to come back. I didn't realise, if I'm honest, if I, can be heart on sleeve, I didn't realise how much I have missed the place, if I'm brutally honest. And it's been lovely coming back. It's been lovely seeing both yourselves. If I'm honest, to catch up with people has been superb. To see all, it's not. No, to see all the ex-players come in and see all the clips has been wonderful.
Yeah. So I think as well, just watching this weekend's games with some fans in the stadium. Barnsley last night I watched with 4,000 fans. They made a right noise. I think that would have helped us if we could perhaps gone a month back and opened up the ground. I think even with 4,000 or 5,000 in it, it would have made a big difference to things that have gone on.
Okay, so much to talk about Charlton and what's happened this season. Look, let's go back to the very beginning, shall we? We're going to split it into 3 parts. The first part of the season review, and Charlton TV commentator Terry Smith talks us through it.
Cast your mind back to last summer. The thought of Charlton reaching the playoffs this season was a distant dream. In fact, the real dream was for Charlton to still be Charlton come May 2021. Off-field turmoil and the mistreatment of our magnificent club had dominated the build-up to the new season, and a transfer embargo would force a number of the club's young players to start the new campaign in the spotlight. A 2-0 win at Crewe Alexandra on the opening day of the league season did offer cause for some optimism and a sense of normality, but the Addicts' paper-thin squad then fell to successive defeats against Doncaster Rovers and Lincoln City. However, just prior to the trip to Lincoln, there looked to be a light at the end of the tunnel. Danish-American businessman Thomas Sandgaard acquired Charlton Athletic and, at last, fans could get back to thinking about the football on the pitch again. Oh, how we'd longed for our biggest worry to be ridiculous refereeing decisions. Within 48 hours of the takeover, we had a big one to complain about too, as Lincoln were awarded a controversial penalty and then converted the rebound from a blatant offside position. We were furious, but delighted. We were a normal football club again, and we were normal football fans again. Thomas got his first taste of the Valley in our next home game, a goalless draw against Sunderland. And by the time we played Wigan on October the 17th, the Addicts had added 9 players to their ranks in the 3 weeks since the takeover. Wigan, then Blackpool, then Northampton, then Oxford, then Portsmouth, then Fleetwood were all swept aside as Charlton then embarked on a 6-game winning run to go third in League One. The Sangard era was in full swing, and in late November, Thomas offered the fans the chance to win one of the club's infamous Range Rovers, which was valued at £90,000. Not a bad prize, eh? On the field, an away win at Ipswich kept things ticking over for Lee Bowyer's men, and we would start December with fans at the Valley. However, there wasn't too much to shout about on their return to SE7, despite what some might say, as we slipped to a 1-0 defeat against MK Dons.
Brilliant, Tel. Part 2 and part 3 to come later. Brownie's still gutted he didn't get one of those Range Rovers. Curbs, if you cast your mind back now to this time last year, the club was in an absolute mess, wasn't it? And it was almost at the point where the fans were just delighted to see a Charlton team out on the pitch.
Well, when you think about the way we got relegated, last game of the season, and Barnsley winning at Brentford, and then you had a summer where I think a lot of the fans genuinely felt the club would go. I did. From afar, I'm thinking...
Did you?
I did. I think that from afar, are they going to go into administration? And who's going to come along, if they do, to save the club? So you spoke about how we felt at the end of the season. We're disappointed we didn't get in the playoffs. I think it was despair in the summer. So it looked like we was going into administration, transfer embargo, hardly any players signed at the club. Could we put a team out for the first game of the season, let alone still be there? So, I think that at the start of the season, I think it was miraculous that we were still a club. And, as I say, that a lot of Charlton fans would have settled for that at the start of the season, that we're still a club.
So how much credit then does Thomas Sangard get for basically rescuing the club?
Yeah, well, that's the next step. I think hope came in, from despair to hope. Transfer embargo was lifted, players came in. It was a bit scattergun because it had to be, bring as many players as you could get in. But all the right things were being said. After the debacle of the previous owners, it was once again hope at the club. But then I think all of us wanted to see Thomas follow through and come in and say the right things, which is exactly what he did, and done the right things as well. So from despair, we got the hope back.
Yeah, we've heard previous owners saying the right things, not necessarily doing the right things. Thomas definitely doing that. Easy to forget, Brownie, isn't it, how bad things were last summer?
Yeah, I think if you go back to the January transfer window when we were in the Championship and everybody was saying, right, we need to stay in the league, and nobody knew there was an embargo. Nobody knew that we couldn't bring any players in. And so, Lee was working very much, restricted at that point. I think when you fast forward to the summer and then you see what unfolded during that summer leading into the start of this season, and I'm with Curbs, there was a genuine fear with things that were coming out and creeping out through social media and so on and so forth. There was a genuine fear that these guys that had taken control of the club were looking to just pick the meat off the bones of a club that were, that they saw as in distress. And so I think that's why you sat there going, right, okay, these guys they're nothing like they promised they would be. They came in, they didn't help the team in any way, shape or form regarding signings when they came in that January transfer window. You get to the summer and you think, okay, now show us what you can do. And actually what they showed us was, oh, you're ripping this club blind. Yeah. And so from that point, and I think we're going to go on to things that people at this club that have been here many, many years did to protect it, helped out enormously. You fast forward a couple of weeks to Thomas's takeover, and that is, for me, what will be the turning point when we look back in 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
I remember doing a game here for Sky. I think it was a Sheffield Wednesday game, and Chrissy Powell was my guest, and we were invited up to the boardroom afterwards, and we met them, and we texted each other afterwards and said, "Oh dear." So we kind of felt it straight away. So for Thomas to come in and doing what he's doing, absolutely fantastic. As a player, Brownie, how much does sort of off the field stuff affect you? They say it shouldn't.
Yeah.
But when it gets to like perhaps your wages and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're not receiving wages, then that's going to have a massive impact. Never happened to us. Even in the darkest days when you were selling Robert and we were almost going out of business ourselves, we never didn't get paid. That was always covered. And I think you have to go back to the directors at the time who bailed, us out in that respect. But yeah, off the field didn't really impact me personally. I got on with the job at hand. I don't know many players that it would affect, but when it's going well, and you brought, and Peter Varney was here, there was a camaraderie at that point, and that then we did know about things that were going on here, but in a nice way, in a funny way. There was a camaraderie between the Valley and the training ground, which hadn't been there before. So I remember that link up in a fun way rather than a negative way. Because everything was in place. We were a club very much moving forward. You could see the ground, being built up as we were going.
And just quickly as well, in terms of that, you say about that scattergun approach, how difficult would that have been for Bowyer and Steve
because
as well?
Perhaps all their targets had gone elsewhere. And also, we weren't attractive. People were reading the stories about us. As you just said, perhaps a player would come to the club and think, I might not be getting paid in a couple of months' time, and etc. So, yeah, I mean, real bad times. And I think it's easy to forget how bad the times were when we get disappointed about not getting in the playoffs. Because, as I said, there weren't many people that were going to come along and save this football club.
OK, we're delighted to say that Charlton TV caught up with the man who rescued this club, Thomas Sangard, a little bit earlier today.
So, first of all, how would you assess your first few months as Charlton owner?
It has been a whirlwind. It has been an amazing experience. More than anything, how well this has been received by the fans. That's been amazing. And football-wise, considering where we started the season and where we ended, we were so close to the playoffs. Obviously got it that we didn't get there, but it basically shows that next season, I think we're going to blow it out of this division. So I'm very excited for that. Obviously, the women's team, they started doing really well, and certainly avoided relegation. Are still in the game, in the mix for the cup, and we're now the only one from the championship now playing the Super League team. So that is very exciting. I heard that we've sold over 7,000 season tickets already this early on, before the season even starts. That is a record. That's the kind of numbers I don't think we have ever seen, or certainly haven't seen for a very long time. So thank you to all the fans for your commitment to Charlton and for coming back into the stadium. That really sets the stage for, I think we'll have a pretty full stadium once we get to next season. So that is very exciting.
You touched at the start, we obviously just missed out on the playoffs on goal difference, but the team did finish well, and it looks like an exciting summer. How much are you looking forward to your first full summer in charge of the club?
We obviously have a number of positions that are out of contract. A few of those we obviously trying to see if we can negotiate so that they can stay with the club. There were a couple of the loan players that we're also interested in to see if they can become permanent signings. And other than that, it's wide open in terms of where we're looking for players, whether it's more loan players from some of the Premier League clubs, or it's permanent signings. And obviously we're even looking that there might be some great talent a level below where we're at, that will blossom in the next couple of seasons, and it'd be nice to take advantage of that. And of course, we have some great talent in the academy, and we'll continue to develop that more and keep giving those guys a chance in the first team.
And obviously, Nigel came in with the final 10 games to go and made quite an impact. How pleased have you been with Nigel's start in charge of the club?
Well, obviously, with Nigel comes a very positive personality, something that really fits well at Charlton. So I'm very excited about that. And with the playing style and the little things that he naturally gravitates towards, it's something that we've now seen. We looked at a lot of data. You wouldn't believe how much data that goes into analyzing football. We looked at a lot of data, and what he naturally gravitates towards is basically the kind of football that will get us promoted out of the League One. So that in itself is very positive. It's had a tremendous impact on the atmosphere with the team on the inside, internally in the club, etc. So couldn't have found a better guy.
Absolutely loving that guitar behind him. Fantastic, isn't it?
We all thought that, yeah.
Definitely. But to quote him, we're going to blow it out of this division next season. It sounds like he's going to go for it, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, Nigel was saying exactly the same things, wasn't he, after the whole game? You know, look at them over there celebrating. That's us next year. Yeah. Listen, it's a great opportunity, I think, because the pandemic has done one thing, is really blighted people's finances. Like, some clubs must be really hurting. And I think there's an opportunity there if you're bold and if you do your homework, which it sounds like they've got people in recruitment, you could go and bring the players in. And, you know, there'd be so many players, I think, looking for a contract. And there'd be so many clubs that would be happy to let some of their young players go out on loan as well. So you've got to start work now. I hope they are. They probably are, obviously. And I keep saying it. We are attractive. As a football club, we are attractive. So get out there and get some stuff done.
Over 7,000 season tickets sold now as well. The fans are excited too, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they've been excited for a while. I think you think what they've been dragged through for the last, not just this last set of owners, but the one before that as well. That wasn't a great period in the club's history in terms of ownership. So I think they're very excited. And, you know, Curbs alluded to it earlier about that. The noise factor, I think, is going to be a huge factor when they're back here. So it's 7,000 at the moment. That's going to swell. That's definitely going to get bigger as the summer goes on. And that first game back here, I think there's going to be a raucous atmosphere.
We'll talk specifics about players and sort of areas a little bit later on. But what kind of conversations will Thomas be having with Nigel, or perhaps Nigel with Thomas?
We've got to appreciate that Thomas has never been in football before. And the workings, which can sometimes be quite murky, as we know, agents, etc. But Steve Gallen, ever since Lee took over, I got interested again because of Lee, and I started looking at what was going on at the football club. And they've had a good record bringing players in, especially, you know, obviously the promotion year, but the championship year, they brought some real decent players in on loan, etc. So yeah, they've got the network right. I think may have to educate Thomas a little bit in the goings on, what happens in football, and you know, sometimes you don't agree with it, but you know, you have to play the game if that's what's needed to get the player in.
Setting a budget, that's got to be the first thing, because last year we were capped, right? So the first thing is manager to own a setting a budget. He's not done that before. Yeah,
but as I say, I don't think the people at the club, like Wayne and Thomas and that, have not been involved in, you know, the goings on of transfers and negotiating, etc. So it'd be a learning curve for everybody.
Just finally as well, though, great that Thomas is aware of everything that's going on, sort of the club, the season tickets, but also the women's team as well.
Yeah, I think that was one of the canniest moves, actually, bringing them back under the Charlton umbrella after they've been allowed to, or not allowed to, were forced to actually move away from the football club. So I think, other than naming a stand after an ex-manager, that's probably the best. That's probably the next best thing.
He did so much petitioning for that. No, he didn't. No, I promise you, well deserved. Okay, talking of the women's team, we can now reveal the winner of their Supporters Player of the Season award. Let's hear from her now.
Hi guys, it's Shauna Vassell here. Thank you to all the fans for voting me for Supporters Player of the Season. I'm very grateful. We've had a tough season as it is, but we've pulled through. So thank you.
Massive congratulations to Shauna there. I can also reveal that goalkeeper Eartha Cummings was named winner of the Women's Team's Players Player Award, with long-serving defender Grace Coombs winning the Valley Gold Recognition of Service Award. Congratulations to you both as well. And Charlton TV caught up with head coach Karen Hills earlier today. Here's what she had to say.
Karen, first of all, Shauna, Eartha and Grace have won our annual awards. I know you've not been here for too long, but would you say those three are worthy winners?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've all been a credit to the squad. I know there probably could have been a number of candidates and nominations, but no, I think they're the right worthy winners. Obviously, Shauna, some fantastic performances since I've been here. Eartha, I think, just been a solid goalkeeper across the whole season, and then obviously you've had Grace, who's been a stalwart of Charlton women. So no, absolutely worthy winners, and I'm really pleased and congratulate them.
I think it's 2 months now since you joined the club. In that 2 months, the women's team's form has been superb. So I think really we have to give credit to the whole squad, don't we? Yeah, absolutely, and the staff as well. I think it's been a collective effort. From the moment I walked in, everyone's been very warm and welcoming, staff and players, and obviously the wider community within Charlton Football Club. They've been very accommodating. We've had a lot of access to facilities, which has really helped us in that last part of the season, which was really, really important because it was quite a hard task. But no, we managed to get over the line. I think credit to, like you say, all the players. I think they all dug deep and worked exceptionally hard, and I know that they're obviously disappointed just with how maybe they started the season, because if they'd have started the season how they finished, I guess we probably wouldn't have been in that relegation battle. But no, overall we should all be very proud of how we finished the season. How much encouragement going into what's going to be a really busy summer does that end to the season give you?
Yeah, a huge boost. Obviously there's going to be needing to some changes, and that's the way football is if we want to keep moving forward as a club, and we're obviously going into a new era within Charlton, so there will be needing some changes, but at the same time every single player that's been with the squad this season should take immense proudness in what they've achieved, and obviously finishing the last game of the season and getting themselves into the quarter-final was a credit to all of them, and they should all be very proud and honoured to have played for Charlton and hopefully continue playing for Charlton.
This summer we're making the move from semi-professional to professional. That's something you've done before at Tottenham. How much are you looking forward to doing the same here?
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. It's a big challenge, but no, it's exciting just for women's football to have that opportunity with Charlton to go in from a part-time into a full-time section. Obviously the plans and the aspirations from Thomas has been excellent, and something that really excited me about joining the project and programme. But no, overall it's going to be a busy summer, lots to do in a very short space of time, but when we talk about people having an off season or a bit of downtime for managers and for probably the backroom staff, it's probably our busiest time. But no, I'm excited, looking forward to it. I know what's needed to be done, and I'm obviously going to use and draw on my experience that I've learnt from before, and hopefully that will stand me in good stead to build a team, build a culture to move into a professional environment in probably, I think, about 55 days' time.
And counting. Curbs, the women's team were very good, one of the best in the country back in the day when you were in charge here. It'd be great if they could go back to something like that.
It's not all about funding, but you know what? It can be, and it is for Karen at the moment, because I think if Charlton want to push on, they've got the likes of the top clubs in there and the facilities that they've got. What I'd like to see is for the women's team to play out here a couple of times, if that's possible, because that will give everyone a lift, wouldn't it? Especially when the crowds come back and the fans can get a chance to see them.
It is a big commitment from Thomas as well, though, isn't it? It's fantastic that that one club mentality he seems to have, and clearly he's showing that here.
Yeah, I think it's all part of that sell, isn't it? The unity that he's trying to pull everyone together, and sort of rowing in the same direction. The groundsman's going to be fuming.
He always does.
Nathan is never happy.
Oh no. That's why we walk across the pitch after every game.
Right? So not only is he paying,
say and do what you want.
He's not got the budget for the women's team as well. He's now got a budget for the extra repairs on the ground. But yeah,
but I think there's a lot of money going to be spent on the ground, on the pitch,
Yeah, he said
isn't
that.
it? So
I mean, he had a real smile on his face. He's the only one who had a smile on his face at the end of the season because he knew that the pitch was going to get done. Look, it is fantastic anyway.
it is. It's another sign of a massive commitment from Thomas Sankard, and we are delighted he's part of this club. Okay, right now it's time for part 2 of the season review. Over to you, Terry.
Stoppage time sucker punches against Shrewsbury and Swindon came either side of a cracking 5-2 win against AFC Wimbledon in the middle of December. In front of 2,000 fans, the second half blitz saw Charlton bag 4 goals against the Dons to seal all 3 points at the Valley. That day also saw the newly revamped Charlton TV make its debut in SE7. Minto, Curbs, Brownie and co would be on our television, laptop, tablet and phone screens for every match day. And what a start they made. Charlton would twice come from behind in SE7, something we have to get used to draw with Plymouth on Boxing Day. But the new year started with back-to-back defeats against Hull and Accrington Stanley. January was a busy month of player arrivals and departures, with Ronnie Schwartz, Liam Miller, Jayden Stockley, Matt Smith and Yarling Jayasimi all becoming addicts, while Johnny Williams, Omar Bogle, Alfie Doughty, Marcus Maddison, Dylan Levitt, Paul Smith and George Lapsley all left the club. Back on the pitch, home fightbacks against struggling Rochdale and Swindon would only yield us a point per game, while our impressive away form kept us in contention for a playoff place. Bristol Rovers and MK Dons were both beaten by the travelling addicts in January, with Rochdale being rolled over at the beginning of February too. The home form was still proving to be the addicts' Achilles heel, however. Portsmouth, Gillingham, Burton Albion and Blackpool all won at the Valley in February, as Charlton ended the month in 12th position in League One.
Yeah, it was around about the time where there's some worldy goals going in, wasn't there? And actually, the start of Charlton TV as well. My debut, Curbs, December the 12th, against Wimbledon, we won 5-2. Do you know when you got your first win?
Go on, about 7 or 8 games later.
7 games in, no wins
Well,
in 6.
I was actually getting blamed for it, but I couldn't quite. When I first came over to do the TV, I heard about that 6-game run. And the 2 centre-backs...
Of the clean sheets, you mean, yeah?
Yeah, but they won 6 games, didn't they? And
Injured, yeah.
2 centre-backs weren't playing, and it was mix and match. I mean, Lee was changing it every week. This one was coming in, that one was going out injuries. Gutner was playing centre-back. I think Matthews played there. Prattley was playing there. You can't, and Steve would tell you, you've got to have the centre-half settled and the goalkeeper settled. That triangle was so important. And it was getting changed. The 2 centre-halves were getting changed every week, so it was very, very difficult when I first come over to do the TV and watch the games.
Yeah, we can't blame Curbs for that, really, can we? But you, by the way, your first game, do you remember?
Well, I've only seen one loss the entire time, so...
Bristol Rovers win, so well done there.
Yeah.
But I mean, seriously though, would the lads look back at that particular period with a lot of frustration, thinking, that's where we could have kicked on, but just didn't?
Yeah, I mean, we got ourselves in a situation where we had to score 2 or 3 goals to get anything. So I think there had to be a mentality change, and I hear the new words out there at the moment, philosophy and culture and whatever. But I think with the fact that the stadium was empty and it looked as if we was trying to win the game in the first 5-10 minutes, it was so open. And we got punished, and some great goals went in. We said that, but I never felt confident coming here, thinking that we was going to get a result.
We weren't resilient enough in that period, and there's a reason for that. We were playing players out of position who were filling in at centre half. So not only is it important to have your first, second, third, or fourth choice available, we were going beyond that. Right backs filling in, centre midfielders dropping down, and that is going to have an impact. But we weren't resilient enough. We didn't start games well enough, did we? We tried to score inside 10, 15 minutes to put ourselves on the front foot, and actually quite often was on the back foot chasing games. What you do have to say is the character shown, because they did come back a lot. Whether that was substitutions, made in at half time, sometimes earlier actually, but they did show a lot of character to come back and get the points from those games.
We had the January window during that time. It was tough because the salary cap was still in place. It was taken away a week or so later. Although the results didn't come immediately, how important do you feel those signings became?
Well, since I've been doing the TV, and you've goaded me a little bit about my favourite players, but we didn't have too many players that could go past people. So Miller was one that came in, and he actually went past fullbacks or went inside them. So we had a player that was going the other way. And then with Stockley, you brought a player in that you knew what you were going to get. You know, if it went up to him, it invariably stuck. He brought players into the game, and you know, so suddenly the dynamism changed going forward. Still the same problems at the back, but we sort of changed going forward. And then when we started getting a bit more difficult to beat, then players, the attacking players, come to the fore.
Did you feel at that time that even if results weren't always going with us, you know, things were starting to pick up and we're seeing something here?
Yeah, I think what you have to remember is that's a manager making his stamp on the team, isn't it? There was a lot went out, a lot came in, and that was his gamble. That was Lee's gamble. And actually he tried to make us a little bit more threatening, I think, with what he brought in. There was obviously something there in terms of characters that were let go. You know, I think that's all obvious for everyone to see. And I think he tried to get that dynamic to change in the dressing room as well. So that was on Lee. You know, every manager sees players differently, don't they? You know, and that's something you have to deal with. You know, you look around the dressing room and there are players you love, there are players that you think, oh, you know, and you never can show it outwardly, but it's there.
The interesting thing is he brought, obviously Jaded, didn't he, the right winger. So the 3 players he brought in, obviously he got injured and he was in and out, wasn't he? But he brought 3 players in attack, but he never done anything about that problem at the back. And I remember when he came over after a game and we asked him off the microphone when are the centre halves going to get fit, and he was very confident that both were going to be back soon, but it's a little bit longer than not.
Too long, isn't it? Yeah, and it cost us. I think ultimately, you just can't have that length of a gap. If you know, I think we all got a little bit of a false sense when we had those results early on. They were so good, such a great run early on, clean sheets left, right, and centre, winning every game. And I think, you know, when those 2 centre halves were injured together, that period was far too long to do nothing about it. You know, you can't just wait and keep waiting and not picking up results. And it kind of was our undoing a little bit.
Okay, part 3 to come a little bit later on, but let's turn our attentions now to our award-winning community trust. And the club and trust had a visit from the Secretary of State, Oliver Dowden, last week. Let's take a look.
Hi, morning.
We've had a visit from the Minister for Digital Culture, Media and Sport, which is great. In recognition to the sort of work we do here at Charlton. Today, I believe in the Queen's speech, they're announcing a bill to tackle online hate speech, which is great. And we've had the visit from the DCMS here today, which is fantastic.
I was having a conversation with the Duke of Cambridge just last week about who's very committed to this as well. Absolutely. I think everyone is coming together to tackle this appalling. I think that's what it is.
Our EDI programme, Michael delivered that really well when we talk about all the things that have gone on at Charlton Athletic Football Club over the years, the history, and how we're one of the leading lights, the forefront of dealing with equality, diversity, inclusion. And obviously from our point of view, we're trying to stop abuse online abuse.
So have you had experience of this?
Basically, yeah, something happened like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I've been abused.
Promoting what we do as a football club in terms of our EDI practices, and having the Minister come down as well and sort of showing that support, and obviously what he wants to do moving forward in terms of online abuse and online hate. It's just him getting an understanding of what we've been doing as a football club for many years, and hopefully that will help promote what we do and promote to others in terms of sort of following our lead or increasing what they're doing, to make sure that we can sort of come to a positive conclusion of how we do our best to stop what's going on with online crime.
It's always more powerful when people come together and act as a whole and show that there is really no space for it in this club, in any club, or even really in this society. And like the group is always stronger than the individual and stuff, and to show that Charlton and everybody else is really intent on stamping this kind of thing out.
It's been really inspiring to see the work that Charlton has done over the years. I think we saw how fans came together to stop the European Super League proposals. And I think there's a similar feeling about trying to come together and to stop the kind of racism and hate online that football players are experiencing. I hope that we can work together with players, with technology and with government to try and tackle this scourge of racism, and hopefully we can build another chapter in the history of football and the history of Charlton. So I look forward to continuing to work with you.
Yeah, absolutely amazing work from the Trust CEO, Jason Morgan there, and his staff. A big congratulations to all of you, I have to say. Look, it's sad, Curbs, that this stuff is still going on in today's society, but brilliant that Charlton are at the forefront of it.
Yeah, and there's got to be a stand made, isn't there? It can't carry on. So yeah, I think Charlton have always been at the front of major things, and I think that our community situation has never been in doubt. Even with the bad times at the football club, that's always come to the front. It's
one of these things that makes this club so special, isn't it? The community trust, not just on the field, but off the field as well.
Yeah, and it's been strong for a long time. It's won, it's no coincidence. It's won award after award after award, and Jason's done a magnificent job. And with the online abuse, I think there has to be an accountability. At some point we have to make people accountable. How they get to that point, I think, is tricky, and we all understand. But yeah, in terms of you can only concentrate on you, and I think we do a magnificent job in terms of our community scheme.
We certainly do, and we can now reveal Charlton PFA Community Champions for this season.
I heard the Upbeats are having a tough time during lockdown, so I thought we'd do a nice Q&A, and I cannot wait to get started.
Buddy? You what?
Yeah, all good, mate, all good. After meeting the Upbeats last week, me and the boys have come up with a plan. The Upbeats themselves have been away and come up with a dance, and they've partnered up with the lads. So we're looking forward to seeing what the lads have got and see if they can match the Upbeats.
Skipper doing Josh.
Hi guys, happy World Book Day. I just wanted to say I think reading is important, whether it's to extend your vocabulary or express your imagination within. I am currently reading Ant Middleton, The Fear Bubble.
My favourite part has just been getting to know the kids and having fun with them, seeing them interact with each other. I think just being able to be a part of the wider community. I've lived in a lot of places, and it's nice to that I've been able to really get involved in the community since being with Charlton.
I was really surprised when I won this award actually, but I'm very humbled and grateful for the opportunity that I get to go out and work in different communities. It's something that I'm passionate about and want to be able to pass on to other people. So yeah, that's why I do it, and I'm really grateful for this award.
Big well done to Ryan and Jess there. You can see how much it means to the kids and the people who see them as well. So fantastic work, guys. Well done. OK, one of Thomas Sangar's first appointment here at Charlton was the commercial director, Wayne Mumford, and Charlton TV spoke to him earlier today.
Thanks for taking the time to join me. You've been at the club for a few months now. How much have you enjoyed those first few months?
Yeah, I can't believe it. It's been 8 months since I started, which has gone extremely quick. So, yeah, look, it's I had a great welcome from all the staff here at Charlton when I first arrived. Fans have been great. They've been very kind to me. They're all watching what's happening, which I understand. So, yeah, it's been an interesting 8 months. I think we're in a great place for next season. So, can't wait to get fans back here, introduce myself personally to them. Thomas can't wait for that. So, look, we're really looking forward to next season. Look, there was disappointment at the end of the season. We all wanted to try and be in the playoffs, but it is what it is. But we're very, very excited about the future and what this club can do and the potential of this club.
I think, like you say there, there's real, within the club, it seems like there's real excitement. And from a fan's point of view, it seems like that's the case too. Over 7,000 season tickets have been sold for next season. How pleased have you been with that?
Yeah, look, we're very ambitious. Thomas wants the stadium to be rocking and full, but to sell 7,000 tickets in just under 2 weeks, I think is an amazing result. So, yeah, look, we're absolutely delighted with the reaction to the fans, and it shows that how do you show that you're supporting the club? It's by contributing to the club, and season tickets is a great way of judging that. So when you look at that, when you look at our sales on Charlton TV, the downloads we've had over Charlton TV, our downloads are competing with the likes of Swansea, Watford, these teams that are pushing for Premiership status. We're competing with them. So again, it just gives everybody such a strong feeling about how big this club actually is and the potential. And like I said, the reaction to Charlton TV has been amazing.
Just on Charlton TV, like you say, fans seem to have really enjoyed it. Scott, Curbs and all our different guests have done a great job, haven't they?
I've got a lot of people to thank for that. My comms team, you guys, Tom, George, everybody that's involved, the effort that goes into producing something like Charlton TV, I can assure you isn't easy, as you guys know, from the content that's needed. So Alan Curbishley, Scott Minto, having him around, Brownie, Greg and Terry. Look, it's been great and the fans have loved it. So, look forward to next season and developing it.
One of the questions that we get as a comms team is what's the future for Charlton TV? Because obviously fans aren't in at the moment. When they do come back in, what's likely to happen with Charlton TV, do you think?
There's a lot of ambition here to improve Charlton TV, to keep it going. We're looking at midweek shows maybe, how we can change the content to make it maybe of a pre-game show on a Thursday. So make it more of a soccer AM feel in a Thursday. So look, there's a lot of conversations going on. And like I said, we're waiting for the EFL, but Charlton TV is so important for our international fans. It's so important for our branding. It's so important that it's a way we can deliver messages to the fans, both home and internationally. So, and sponsors are starting to take notice of it as well. So, look, it's one of the things that we'll keep improving on, because we know the fans really enjoy it.
Perfect.
Just the last thing from me, by the way, is just to say that I know that I've seen some of the messages out there asking about sponsorships and how we're moving forward. Look, we're all in difficult times at the moment with COVID, but I'm delighted to say we're very close to signing a groundbreaking deal, which is a multi-million-pound deal over 3 to 5 years with a new potential partner. So why are people like that talking to us? It's because they see they've got a club that has a community trust that is as big as it is. They see the fan base as big as it is. They see the season ticket sales. So, all the fans, everybody's making their part to making this club big again.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your time, Wayne.
Can I just say as well, George, who was speaking to Wayne, fantastic work that you do behind the scenes as well, George, on behalf of Charlton TV. So well done. But Wayne, I have to say, Curbs, great guy, excellent at his job, good people's person, and a young right back in the day at Birmingham. Yeah.
He came in from Man City, I think, and I wasn't around for too long. I think probably about 6 games. I think I played with Wayne, but I left and went to Villa. And as you know, when you see him walking around, he took a real bad knee injury, and he's only just had it sorted out again recently. But no, he's coming full of. I think the word is enthusiasm. Yeah. Thomas mentioned it about Nigel. You got to mention it about Wayne. And
knowledge. He's got the knowledge of football, having played the game as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's what you're getting here now. There's enthusiasm about the place. Talking about sponsors, I mean, we know John Hayes and Axis Europe. He's come back. And a lot of the people that deserted us because of previous owners, hopefully will now come back, because it was always a club that the fans who done well in business come back and supported. And and when it was our era, we knew them firsthand, the sponsors, and we got to get back to that and get a few more signs around the ground.
It's not you offering that multi-million-pound deal, is it?
I don't know what it was. He wasn't going to say, was he?
Spend any of his money? Crikey. He just knows the people who do. Maybe he'll front it. Soccer AM next season, Brownie. Are you the new Jimmy Bullard then?
No, I don't think I've been in the Jimmy. I think I can take him at that volleying game in the corners.
Do you? Curbs, yeah. Is that a gauntlet throw down straight away?
Absolutely. Didn't you say this? It's the best first touch you've seen?
No, you said that I said that back in the day. I don't remember saying it. No,
Hey, listen.
you did have a fantastic first start.
Touch and tackle. Brownie, touch and tackle.
I'll be having a knee replacement like Wayne if I try that.
Look, I mean, some good messages there as well. None more so than he really wants to develop Charlton TV as well.
Yeah. But I think that everyone's realised, and I think Thomas says when we go down memory lane and you see the stadium full, the potential. You know, when we first came back here and we was slowly building the ground bit by bit, I wasn't too sure about, you know, the crowds. You know, we was getting 7s, 8s going up. I never thought, oh, blimey, we're going to get 30,000 or whatever it was, 28,000. And there's a facility here to add on to it, you know, if we ever needed. But, you know, now it's been done, I think Thomas and everybody else now connected with the club can see it can go again. It's there, waiting. Obviously, a lot of hard work's got to be put in, but it's there.
Yeah, how much potential do you feel this club has off the field?
It's always had potential, and I think when you see, I mean, I'll tell you a quick story about my dad. Knew about Charlton Athletic when I was a kid, and when I joined here from Brighton, I was very naive about the football club. And he said, and when we came back here, the fans managed to get the party up and get us back here. He said, quickly nip down and have a look before they rebuild it. He said, because you'll never see anything like it again. This particular stand, the Alan Curbishley stand.
Right. We've got to call it that now.
Yeah, I mean, and he said, go and have a look, and I did, and I came down and had a look, and then when we first got back here, it was basically just derelict, wasn't it? And there was a TV camera over it. Yeah, and to see it develop, and you knew there was potential there, but the success had to come with it. And you know, if the success comes over the next couple of years, this will be full again.
Okay, you won't be surprised to hear we are so well over, so we better move on right now.
Extend the programme.
We might do. I talked about extra time and penalties.
Keep it going.
We're back after this.
So for every person that buys a season ticket during the early bird window, they will also receive a handbook at the beginning of the season as part of our bumper program.
After we've bought the programmes from outside the club shop, then we walk to our stands and we tick off on the back of the programme who's playing, who's a sub, and if any goals or scores. I also like looking at the player interviews and the best and worst bits. I just really miss being at the Valley. It's not the same watching on TV as the atmosphere here is very happy and uplifting.
The moment I go to buy the programme, after we bought it, I just give a little read whilst I'm walking. And when I get here, just read the lot.
Henry collects the programmes, he keeps them in a folder, a Charlton folder at home. And I think that's important for him to become immersed in the club that way. Even if it's just by buying a programme, he's part of the club.
I just like coming here with family, watching, all get to learn stuff as well.
Nothing compares to getting a signed programme by my favourite players.
Nothing compares to getting the programme and reading it with my granddad.
Isn't that what football is all about? If you haven't signed up for a season ticket, please do. More than 7,000 of you have already. And at this stage of the season, that's absolutely incredible. Curbs, there's a high-pitch event going on behind us. We can just about see it. We can definitely hear it. It'd be great to see this place absolutely rocking, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And I think it's the one thing that perhaps we can level against the home form. That, you know, no fans. I can't imagine our home form being as bad as that if we had fans here. And, you know, it does make a big difference. As we've seen just with the FA Cup final, the noise and the playoff games last night, it does make a big difference.
What does a packed Valley mean to you, Brownie?
Well, it could go one of two ways, can't it?
When you've been going off on a stretcher.
Especially if I'm touch tackling, as I normally do, apparently. No, it can go one of two ways, but by and large, the Charlton supporters are appreciative of you putting in effort. You can have a poor game, as long as the fans feel like you've put in a shift for this football club, they'll forgive a certain amount of poor performances. You can't have a run of poor performances, but by and large, they are very good. They get behind you, and like I said, if there's 27, 28,000 in it and you're playing well, then it does make a massive
when you talk
difference.
to opposing teams, opposing players about playing here when obviously full up, you know, you get the same noises coming out of them. Oh, the atmosphere, and because it's a bowl, and you know you're in for a game, and the crowd's on top of you. Yeah, so hopefully we can see it again.
It'd be brilliant for Thomas to see as well, wouldn't it? It'd be absolutely amazing.
absolutely.
Okay, well, it wouldn't be Charlton TV and a show without doing Memory Lane, would it? So let's do it. And it's topical.
All right.
After Alisson scoring the winner at the weekend, you know what's coming, Curbs. In fact, you texted me, didn't you?
I did. It's incredible because when I saw Alisson score that goal for Liverpool, I remember Brad Friedel here, and we was winning 2-1 against Blackburn in the last minute, and Brad Friedel comes up and scores. And, you know, it was a big... I think Graham Souness was the manager.
Yeah.
So here
We were 2-0 up at the time. I mean, Andy Cole actually just about gets the ball in there. But 2-0 up goes a bit pear-shaped then, Kurt, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. We always kept everyone on their toes. I don't think the fans was very appreciative.
What goes one of two ways, Curbs. He's done his best to miss it, didn't he? Yeah.
He fell over it, Andy Cole, but no. So they got themselves back into the game, and
that goes to a corner.
Yeah, it's 90th minute, and Brad Friedel comes up, and I suppose it's a bit like when the keepers come up. No one knows who to mark. If you're going to mark him or you leave him on his own. Anyway, it pops down to him. I don't know who sold himself there. Was that Yuli?
Yuli.
Was it?
Imagine coaching someone.
Yeah, yeah.
Seeing that.
What would he say now, coach?
I know.
He's fuming.
Look at Brad Friedel. So, like, he's equalised, and, you know, they can't believe it, and, 27,000 like that, and then the next couple of minutes.
Well, we'll come on to that in just a second. I mean, we saw Kish with that bad back pass. Obviously, 2-0. People say it's a difficult scoreline because if you do concede that one, then suddenly the pressure's on. What were you thinking?
Yeah, I could forgive Kish. He could do no wrong.
World class or pub player.
Oh, like
there was no in between.
But he gave everything.
Yeah, he absolutely did. He was a smashing bloke.
No, so listen, I'm sitting there coasting at 2-0. We all were. Then suddenly, bang.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look because everybody thought, wouldn't it? That was it. I mean, they celebrated as if like they'd nicked a point.
Well, this is about the 93rd minute, isn't it? Yuli's relieved. Look.
He was good.
I think Brad Friedel was still thinking about his goal.
I think he's got to do better with that. And I'm convinced it takes a deflection. Just loops off there, loops off a boot and just loops over him, just ever so slightly.
But he's still thinking about his goal though, isn't he?
He should do better.
That.
Yeah, I mean, he gets a big old fingertip on that. Yeah,
were you ever involved in a game like that where a goalkeeper scored?
I don't recall being. No.
I don't either. When you did your stints in goal, did you ever go up?
No, didn't used to come up, did they? At all? No.
How does he feel? Just
Yeah.
equalised. But no, Klaus as well. Look, DeCanio. It was
So Kish didn't get a turn off because he was your Liam Miller, was he?
Yeah, Kish could do no wrong from
3 points. But interesting, it was 2-2. He'd have got the finger.
I have to say, we've looked through the archive for stoppage time winner, but scored by either of us, and there isn't one.
No. What we got between us goals? I got about 10.
Well, when we talk about the touch and tackle, it's a touch and tackle at Wembley.
This better not stick.
For the fourth goal.
There's no touch there. It's just a tackle.
That's just a tackle. Listen, there was a stoppage time goal in a London derby, which I played in and you played in for opposite sides. Curbs. Remember this one against West Ham? 1-0 down, 2-1 up, 3-2 up.
Red Kitson on loan. He could never do that for us. But this was a big game. It was a Monday night game, I think.
Tell us a story, Brownie, about what was said when
so you're in the dressing room, the team gets named, and then the teams get, obviously team sheets get exchanged, and Merv come in and put the team up on the board, and the back four sort of just, you go up and look who you're marking, etc., etc. And we all sat back down and looked at each other and went, he's only gone and left Defoe out. What a touch! He's left
How about this football?
Oh, this is Scott DeCanio.
So we were watching that in rehearsal, weren't we? Curbs didn't want to say anything about my pass. It was Paolo's pass to me.
Yeah. What about that ball, Scott? And you went, yeah. And he went from DeCanio out to you. He's absolutely stiff.
Look at Johansson. He scored some great goals for us.
This was an amazing game, Curbs, I have to say. It really was. Be careful about saying we here. When West Ham went 4-3 up, what were you thinking? Were you thinking it's not going to be our night?
I thought Defoe, when he scored it, felt like the other 25,000.
So close to blocking that curve.
The other 25,000. Because he took Kitson off and put Defoe on, didn't he? And obviously Defoe being one of us, or one of ours, and stolen away. But he thought as if he'd won the game for him.
OK, we'll bring the footage back in now, shall we? Because just before Charlton equalised, you're looking quite tense there, Curbs, I have to say.
Yeah. Well,
Very young as well.
Yeah, I wanted to win, mate. And I'm just thinking, who can I blame?
Look no further.
This is a great goal.
Well, the lad Minto had gone off injured after 60 minutes, so
great goal.
He is. He's nothing about the assist at all. You're right. He just kills us.
I always remember Jonathan Johansson when he signed for us from Rangers, and I said to him, "Where are you going to live, John?" And he said, "I'm thinking the Docklands." And I said, "Oh right." So a couple of weeks later, I said, "How are you getting on?" He said, "Well, yeah, I think I found a place in Silver Town." I said, "Where?" He went, "Silver Town in the Docklands." I went, "No, it's not the Docklands, not then anyway."
Is that the estate agent telling him? Brownie, he's still not mentioned you, Brownie, has he?
No, it wasn't. It's really lame, isn't it? Assist to the assister, I'm going for there, just to get in there.
And look at him. A young Curbs to a mature Curbs.
Yeah, we had to get back in that game because I couldn't have lived that one down.
Against West Ham.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Some brilliant stories there, and I have to say, I've absolutely loved Memory Lane this season. Apart from the games themselves, been my favourite part of it.
Yeah, and I think that we said about Thomas not seeing the stadium full, but at least everybody connected now can see what can be achieved, you know.
Yeah, there was a shot actually of the playoff game here just a couple of seasons ago. I think it was 2 years ago today, I think.
Yeah.
That's why it was released. And the scenes there, you've only got to look at that to see what the Valley can be.
They're coming. OK, let's take in the final part of our season review. Tel, over to you.
March began at Wigan. An away game and another away win, courtesy of Chuck Sanike's first half goal. And that was Charlton's 9th away victory of the season. And they so nearly made that 10 a few days later at Oxford United. With the game goalless and deep into stoppage time, Ronnie Schwartz's well-struck penalty was brilliantly saved by goalkeeper Jack Stevens, meaning we had to settle for a draw. 4 points from successive home games against Northampton and Shrewsbury helped to turn our form around at the Valley, and then change was on the horizon. Manager Lee Bowyer resigned to join Birmingham City, leaving Johnny Jackson in caretaker charge for the visit of Bristol Rovers. Despite the change, the Addicts found themselves in familiar territory at home, trailing 2-0 shortly after the half-hour mark, but a spirited fightback saw Jacko's boys turn the game around to win 3-2. That set us up perfectly for the arrival of new manager Nigel Adkins. His first 3 games in charge all came away from home, and we picked up 7 points in those matches, drawing with Wimbledon and beating playoff rivals Doncaster Rovers and Sunderland. Adkins' first Valley outing ended in a goalless draw with Ipswich Town in mid-April, and the away day specialist then earned our biggest win since 2013 by thrashing Plymouth 6-0 at Home Park. That win took Charlton 6th in the table, but a hectic schedule would catch up with Adkins' Addicts, and despite our best efforts, we only managed to collect 1 point from our next 2 games. Had we managed to hang on to our 2-1 lead against a very impressive Crewe team in SE7, it would have been 3 points though. A draw at Accrington Stanley at the start of May meant that our playoff fate was no longer in our own hands. And that left us needing maximum points from our final 2 matches of the season, as well as requiring favours from elsewhere in order to reclaim 6th place. We did our bit. Promotion-chasing Lincoln City and already promoted Hull City were both beaten at the Valley, which took us level on points with 6th place Oxford. Unfortunately though, their superior goal difference meant they had just pipped Adkins' ever-improving Addicts to that elusive 6th spot.
What was it you said there, Curbs? Just Big Bob behind the goal.
Big Bob's behind the goal, isn't he? Shouting out encouragement to Ben Amos or criticism to the away goalie.
Brilliant. Look, it was all change in the final third of that season, wasn't it? We were 12th going into the last 15 matches. Nigel came in with 10 games to go. Just missed out on goal difference. We didn't make it in the playoffs in the end, but how much positivity is there to take from that?
Well, I think
final
you can see when he does his interviews, he's full of enthusiasm. But what I liked about him is he kept quite a settled team. I know there was lots of games and midweek games, and there was a couple of changes here and there. But you know, when he could, he basically kept a settled side, and that's always, for me, that's always positive. And you know, obviously Lee was in a difficult position with injuries, etc., which we've gone on. But I think Nigel had, a little bit more time with players getting fit.
What impressed you most about the sort of final third of the season, Brownie?
Well, the character shown, actually. I thought the Sunderland performance was outstanding. I thought that performance, I think the players must have came back on the bus or however they got home. just thinking, right, we're in this, we're proper in this, because it was a proper performance. They dug in the first 25 minutes when Sunderland were on top, showed some resilience there, which probably hadn't been shown at times, and then went on to win the game. And I thought they just looked like there was a real steely character that, you know, we're going to give this a right good go. We're not going to go down without fighting, and that was certainly the case. But I think what Nigel did when he came in, he sort of looked at the first game at Wimbledon, didn't he? And then he stamped his authority and made 4 or 5 changes, and he stuck with that side pretty much. And that shows, you know, what he wants. And it looked like two out-and-out wingers. He wanted 2 out-and-out wingers at times, didn't he, to play balls into Stockley. But yeah, I just thought they showed a very good resilience and character in that last third.
And players like Alex Gilby, Piercy, DJ, Albie Morgan as well, they came into the side, and he gave them consistency. How much credit does he get for that?
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the things we did complain about, was the lack of consistency in that middle period. You know, we weren't quite sure which Charlton was going to turn up, what team was going to play, and then when you got the team down in front of you, you weren't quite sure what the formation was going to be. Well, that changed, didn't it, towards the end? I felt like when I got the team sheet through, I knew what the setup was going to be, and I knew what team was going to be in front of me, and that was the case. And there's nothing better than having a settled side and only changing it when you really need to. And I thought that was something that made a difference to the way we were as a team in those last 10 games.
And Nigel came in on his own, didn't he? Without any backroom staff, it couldn't have been easy necessarily to say, right, do you know what, I can see 1, the staff is good here, but 2, I'm going to have the confidence and security that I can win everybody around, and he's certainly done that, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think he relied heavily on Johnny Jackson early on, and then he upgraded Yuli, didn't he, into...
Credit to Jacko for that as well.
Yeah, into the coaching system. And I think he's the sort of manager that would take advice and listen to what people were saying, and then, you know, have a good look yourself at the people in training. Listen, he's an experienced manager, you know, and he's been there and done it, especially in the league we're in at the moment. So it all bodes well, and I think where he's not been out of the game that long, he knows what's out there. He knows he's got contacts. He knows the agents. And you know, he'd have a fair inkling already about what he wants to do. And I think that, as we said earlier, the way he was talking when he had an interview earlier, a little bit we saw, I think he knows what direction he's going in, and the sooner he can get going, the better.
Well, let's hear from the man himself, shall we, who spoke to Charlton TV a little earlier today.
Nigel, 2 months in charge of the club. How have you found your first 2 months here?
I've really enjoyed it, thank you, Tom. I've been made to feel really welcome from the day I joined the football club by other staff, the players. The engagement with the supporters has been really good, really enjoyed it. It's just such a big shame that we just missed out at the final hurdle.
And you talk about the supporters. You had a chance to meet the Charlton Athletic Supporters Trust via Zoom not so long ago. How did you find that experience?
I really enjoyed it, thank you. So many great questions, intelligent questions, challenging questions. Could have talked for hours. You know, I would have liked to have spent a lot more. Would have been great to be been in a room and actually see each other face to face and get the feeling of that. But it was just great for the initial start that we can just start to talk and engage and realise that it's the Supporters Football Club, how much it means to them, and, you know, how privileged we are to be in the position we've got, and just try and do the best we can whilst we're here.
And you mentioned it's the Supporters Football Club, more than 7,000 season tickets sold in just under 2 weeks, which is incredible. How pleased have you been to see the supporters sort of getting involved and supporting the club?
I think it's fantastic, Tom, when you look at it. I mean, we've been in obviously this COVID situation around the world. You know, I've got the world map up there, but around the world, we've been facing this COVID situation, and we all just can't wait to just be in a stadium together to interact. We just talked about meeting face to face there. It'd be great when we can all do that, and to have 7,000 supporters already wanting to be here for next season is fantastic. We've obviously got to make sure that we put a squad in place, a team in place that's going to give the supporters something really exciting to cheer about. But even if we don't, I think all the supporters want to be there and joining with the mates. It's the community feel. We talked about it so many times about Charlton Athletic and the role they have within the community. It's so important. And, you know, it's a starting point going forward.
And you talk about the preparations for next season. I know you've said before how important pre-season is. Is there anything you can give us around what your pre-season plans are going to look like?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, we've done pre-season, but I'm not sure if it's officially allowed to come out yet. Probably there needs to be a bit of confirmation, several things. We will be staying in the United Kingdom for pre-season tours, so we won't be jetting around the world. I've got the map out there. So unfortunately, this season, the supporters are going to have to think about being in the United Kingdom, which is a good thing. Staycation is what they talk about. So obviously, we've got, in my mind, everything's mapped out for pre-season, but I'm not sure when we can officially release it.
And just finally, a busy summer ahead. How much are you looking forward to your sort of first summer at the club, and what do you envisage?
Well, having been at several football clubs before, I know the importance of getting your business done as early as you can. Obviously, a lot of things going on behind the scenes. It's so important that, that normally when the final whistle's gone, that following week, which we've just had, is always a very, very busy time for myself and all managers. Loads of talk, loads of conversations with players that we have under contract, one-on-one meetings, reflection on the season. What did we learn? How can we move forward? Players need decisions. The human beings, they need to know where they stand. But likewise, we've got to be building for the future. So obviously, I've just joined in, six weeks before the end. We need to be thinking, hopefully, in 12 months' time or the next window, we're ahead of the game in respect to players that we'll be looking to recruit. But as I said, it's a very, very busy period. But one that there's an exciting situation that's on the horizon.
He's brilliant, isn't he? Love listening to Nigel and his positivity. How crucial, Curbs, is it right now that we start recruiting?
Well, it's got to be, because we've got so many players that, as Nigel said, needed a decision.
Yeah.
And I understand a couple of players have left the club.
Well, let's have a look at, we've got a graphic here. These are the players who are out of contract and also returning low players. Darren Prattley, Deji Oshilaja and Andrew Shinney have already been told that their contracts won't be renewed. Don't necessarily have to name names, but how important is it that we get players, contracts, return loan players as well?
Best will in the world, if all them players left, I can't imagine Nigel getting that many in. So he's got to be thinking, he's in negotiations, he's got to be thinking that he'll keep most of them, if not all.
What about the loan players?
And then the loan players, that's going to be obviously fees. And that's going to determine one or two things. But I think, as we spoke before, listen, Stockley was saying all the right things. Not too sure about Miller, and I don't think you'll be able to buy the other two. You may be able to loan them again, but I don't think you'll be able to buy them at the moment. But let me tell you, there's going to be a lot of quality loan players out there, and. If we want to spend some money, I'm sure we'll get some decent deals done, because I think, as I said earlier, the pandemic, etc. They've not all got owners like Thomas coming in who's being a bit, upfront and enthusiastic and aggressive.
Did you have a different philosophy at all in terms of loan players, whether it be a season-long loan or half a season, as opposed to signing people on a 3-year contract?
I didn't mind signing loan players, but I'd like to have them for the year. But see, clubs have got different situations with loan players. When I first started coming back here in the Championship, when Lee took over, I think we had 4 or 5 loan players, and they were like Cullen and Gallagher, Bellick, them sort of players, quality players. The London clubs were happy to loan them to us because they can come and watch them. I think Brownie said that he was at Plymouth the other night, and Brighty was there looking, because he was doing a bit for Crystal Palace. They want to come, just come around the corner if you want to see a player. So we're very attractive for loans. So I think Nigel will go down that route, at least 3 or 4, I would have thought. And then I think with the ones that they're negotiating with at the moment, they'll probably keep a majority of them. So I'm expecting permanent signings, like people we don't know about, another 3 or 4 at least.
Where do you feel we need to strengthen?
Well, that would be dependent on how they negotiate, wouldn't it? With the ones that are in negotiations.
Well, who do we have to keep?
In terms of who we'd have to keep, well, I think the goalkeeper is important. So it depends, because as much as we say we're a more attractive club this summer, we have been a shop window in the last 12 months as well, and they're all in negotiations, but they've all got agents. Those agents will have been doing their best to see what the best deal they can find their client. So in terms of, it's very difficult to answer questions when you have no idea where Charlton is with those current players, because
who do you feel we need to keep then? Who I mean, looking at those names, who are the? You look at the sides at the start of next season. We need him, and him in this side.
I think you always need a balance of experience and youth. So there's a couple of loan signings there, young players. Are they in negotiations? I can't see Fanway playing for Norwich in the Premier League next year. So is that one we chase down? Again, have we been a shot window for him? But that's one I think you've got to look to get back in. Miller said he would love to come back on loan, I believe. Oh. Is that one that Nigel's keen on? But you look at Jake Forsakaski, he's in negotiations and he's not going to play.
Yeah.
So there's a central midfield is a very important position for me. Because you've got Ben Watson, we know that Darren Pratley's left. Ben Watson's in negotiations. We don't know how that's going. But central mid Shinny, you've got Gilby here for next season. But you've got to understand what Nigel wants from his team and what formation he's going to play to understand who is priority.
Well, the ones in negotiations, I think Amos, Chucks for sure. And probably Matthews.
Yeah, if you look at Chucks, that situation, right? So you're going to have a split on Chucks because he doesn't start. So you're going to have people go, he doesn't start, so why would you sign him again? If you're talking about someone coming off the bench in League One getting you 10 to 15 goals come off the bench, you sign him back on.
This is why I don't necessarily worry about him going off if Charlton really wants him, because I don't think a Championship club will give him a 3-year contract when he's not playing 90 minutes. So actually, if he's doing the business here and this is a club going places, why not stay here?
That's a hard sell. If you're his agent, that's a hard sell right now. So I'd be sitting down with the owners here trying to discuss a deal here if I was him.
We could be talking for hours here. We're about to.
Looking at that list, loads of clubs have got a similar list.
Yes.
They're in negotiations with their players. Are we talking to them? Because we obviously are.
Which is why it's so important to get things done early.
Nigel was saying that he likes to get things done early, so watch his space.
Again, I think deals probably haven't been done early enough because of that. Well, are we in the playoffs? Are we not in the playoffs? Yeah. Until we didn't get in the playoffs and we were in League One next season, then we had to start looking. So we're already a little bit late probably in terms of negotiations with other people.
We're already late going to the next link as well, to be honest. But you guys carry on talking as I announce our Valley Gold.
All season. Randy talks to them.
I've got to be honest with you, I would love somebody to go back over this and go, stop watching Curbs, stop watching me. He will be 2 minutes to my one.
Do you reckon?
What did I just say?
100%.
What did you say?
100%.
He has to have the last word. He has to have the last. No, I'm going to have the last word here anyway. Okay, let's announce our Valley Gold Young Player of the Year. Hand over to the winner.
Hi everyone, Albie Morgan here. Just a message from myself to say that I'm very thankful and pleased to have won the Valley Gold Young Player of the Year. I'm grateful to everyone that voted me to win, and it's a proud achievement of mine to pick up this award. I'd also like to thank all the Valley Gold members that took their time out to vote me as their winner. Thanks again, Addicts, and see you next season.
Yeah, massive congratulations to our Academy graduate, Albie Morgan, and having just announced Albie as our Valley Gold Player of the Year, I'm now delighted that Academy manager Steve Avery has joined us to tell us about the next crop of Charlton youngsters. Firstly, Steve, apologies. I'm sure you were told we were coming on about 10, 15 minutes ago. These two can waffle, but thank you very much for joining us. Can you hear me okay?
I've got you, Scott. Have you got me?
Got you. Thanks very much. Listen, tell us a little bit about Albie first, shall we? You've known him a long time. What's he like as a guy, but also his potential? How far could he go?
Well, I like to think he'll be around for a few more years, yeah, for sure. And hopefully at this club, because it's his boyhood club. He's been here since he was 9, 10 years of age. I regarded him as a very good prospect then. Through the schoolboy years, through his scholarship, and of course he's established himself now, I like to feel anyway, in the first team with, I think it's over 60 appearances now, and 20 of those this season. He's a very solid all-round individual from a family that's been very supportive over the years, and he's a good player, and I think he's improved this season. I'd like to think others think the same. I think in particular, he's got better at his understanding of the defensive side of the game, out of possession, which was never his favourite element, shall we say. Just one of those players who love to just be around the ball all the time, but that's not a bad thing. So I've always felt Albie had a wow factor to him, particularly with his passing ability, and I still do, and hopefully that'll unlock a few more defences next season.
Yes, you're right. Nowadays, you have to be good on the ball, but also good without the ball as well. So very important teaching them that side of it. Let's talk about specifically academy matters now. How would you look back over the last 12 months in the academy?
There's a lot happened in 12 months, Scott. I mean, this time 12 months ago, we were in lockdown, and the season never ended, really. You know, it just... we kept going as staff throughout, well, in particular myself and a few others kept going through a period when a lot of the academy staff were furloughed. But as I said, the season, the 1920 season didn't finish. But we came back in July, and unfortunately the 18s and 23s in particular have got through this season. The schoolboy side of it was very disrupted. And there's been a few periods where we've just had to lock down at times, but that's carrying on at the moment till the end of June, even though the 18s and 23s are nearing the end. When I look back on the season in terms of the players, I feel that it started very promisingly with Charlie Barker, if you remember, and Aaron Henry making their debuts at the beginning, both only 17 at the time. And they progressed to in the under-23 squad. That's where they played most of the season, even though they're back with the 18s at the moment. I've already reflected on Albie, who I feel has established himself even more so this season. One person I want to mention is Ashley Maynard-Brewer, the young number 2 goalkeeper, who's been the number 2 throughout the season, supported Ben Amos. It was necessary for him to play that role and not had as many games as he would have liked, and had to fill in here and there and play under 23 games to pick up his game experience. But as I said, that was necessary. And I know Andy Marshall rates him very highly, and so do the other members of the first team staff. So there'll be a development plan for him, I think there needs to next season, where he needs to go forward. But he's one I think everybody should be looking forward to, Ashley. Although Ben will want to keep him at bay for a while yet. And then I have to reflect and look at players like Alfie Doughty and Dylan Phillips, who were with us at the beginning of the season from the academy, had come through, but they moved on, obviously, you know, having established themselves and been recognised by teams higher up the pyramid. But they proved their worth, I feel, as academy graduates in terms of, you know, their value to the first team during that time.
Let's touch on the under-18s as well, because, you know, in particular, they've had a fantastic season. They won their playoff semi-final. They've got the final here at the Valley on Friday. What's been key to their success for you?
Well, they're a talented group, Scott. A really talented group. We did have some high hopes of them. You know, as people know, the under-18s is split over the 2-year groups of scholars, first year, second year. But this particular group, I felt, did have some depth to it at the beginning, and supported also by some very good under-16s who've had to be part of this squad and work their way up to be part of the squad throughout the season. They're a group of good personalities, solid characters. I feel that they're very coachable. They listen, they want to learn. And I know it sounds a simple thing to say, but they do enjoy the training every day. They do enjoy being around the ball, and that's something I look for in young players, that they do enjoy coming into the building every day, walking into the training ground with a smile. But this lot, I think, have been a great credit to the academy this season. And I would also like to pay some respects to the coach, Anthony Hayes, who I think has been very good for them. A very bright young coach, works very hard with them, puts in a lot of time with them. And you need to do that with young players. And they've developed very nicely over the season. And I managed to get out on the grass with them 2 or 3 times a week, and I have to say I enjoy every minute, as much as always.
Yeah, Anthony's done a fantastic job, hasn't he? I mean, Nigel's come in. He's talked about that he wants that pathway from the academy and youngsters into the first team. How pleasing is that to hear when we know at clubs elsewhere the first team managers don't really care about academy players? They just want to concentrate on the first team.
Well, as an academy manager, it's what I want to hear the managers say. You know, I mean, getting players through into the first team is why I came here. It's why I still thoroughly enjoy the job I do. So what myself and others have now got to do, having heard Nigel mention those, mention the importance of the young players to the progress going forward for him and the first team, is we have an accountability and responsibility to deliver.
Yeah,
and just listening to Nigel there, looking at him in his interview before I came on, and what you see is what you get with him. You know, that enthusiasm is there every day. You see him around the training ground. He's very approachable. He's making such a big effort to get to know everybody, and I feel he has got to know so many people in such a short space of time. And obviously, he's still working on that, and I know will continue to do so when he comes back in pre-season. But that enthusiasm is something that the players and myself have picked up on straight away.
A final one as well. Was he still smiling when you had a go at him for nicking your under-23s coach? I mean, seriously, how pleased are you for Yuli? He's become a first-team coach now.
Yeah, I'm delighted for Jason. I think he was ready for that, and such a humble guy. You know, been working in the academy now for 6 years or more. Started with the 16s. One of those ex-pros who had a great affinity for the club, obviously, and could have carried on playing. I mean, he's as fit as ever now. I still think he could, but prepared to work at academy level and build up his stock at that level and progress to the under-23s. He's done a great job with them over the years. So. Upwards and onwards for him, and a great asset, I feel, for the young players to have someone who really knows how the academy functions and obviously knows a lot of these players, 18s and 23s already.
We're talking about upwards and onwards. Well done, Steve, with everything you're doing, the progression of the academy as well. And apologies again for waiting, because these two can talk.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, for sure.
Good luck, Steve.
Evening, Steve. Evening, Alan. Keep it going. Thank you.
Because we've spoken many times, haven't we, about the importance for this club about the academy and players coming through.
Well, when me and Stevie Grit first took over, there was a pathway, you know, and the likes of yourselves, you know, I remember Anthony Barnes at 17, 18 getting a game, then Bo and Parker, Konchesky, whatever. If you was good enough, there was a pathway. And he got stifled when we got in the Premier League, which is natural. But I've always found that, you know, homegrown talent, not so much, I wouldn't say loyal, but I think the fans have an affinity to a homegrown boy that comes through. And they know that they've been through the ranks and they really are Charlton through and through when they get their chance to play and make their debut. So it is important. It saves the club a lot of money. You can also obviously sell them on, which we did. Think it much for Brandy, no?
No, you just got my body and soul, didn't you?
But,
14
I'm not saying
years.
a word.
But you know,
monetary value
and
zero.
the way Nigel's talking, it's very difficult for a manager now, because I think managers now, I read somewhere that they're probably on a 9-month contract.
That's a difficulty, isn't it?
The last 9 months.
Yeah, it's very difficult now, and to ask a manager to put some young players in. But you know, if that's the philosophy, if Thomas is going to give Nigel the backing in saying, look, you know, if you're going to bring youngsters through, we might take a few of the bad results on the chin, but then we want to get promotion.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, you've got to have an understanding chairman, and there's got to be a relationship between Thomas and Nigel if youngsters are going to be introduced to the team next year.
Yeah, back in our day, if you were good enough, you were old enough. And with respect to where Charlton are right now, they're not at the level where you took them to, where you then looking at international. So the academy really is crucial. Okay, before we move on, I can confirm that Charlton under-18s national playoff final will be contested at the Valley on Friday night, and fans will be able to watch the game live on the club's YouTube channel, and that's at 6 o'clock. Okay, right, over the last few days, we've been asking you, the fans, to put in your questions to us, Curbs, Brownie and myself. I have to say, big apologies, because we're not going to be able to get through even 50% of them, but let's go, shall we? Let's start. John Gray, could not reaching the playoffs end up being a blessing for Charlton, as we now finally have the stability at the club and have more time to prepare for next season?
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, I watched the playoffs last night, and I was, in the Championship thinking, what if Barnsley got through? what's going to happen to them? Maybe, or one of the teams that gets through could be the lowest points total ever, and knock the club backwards. Yeah, I think we needed a settling down period. I think that now things are in place. Yeah, if we'd have gone up, I think it may have been a different summer approach, and a lot more costly and expensive, if you like, because we'd be a championship side. So I think everybody's probably needed this breathing space.
Yeah, there's two perspectives to that, because I think the money generated from going up would be of massive benefit to the club right now. I think that the revenue difference is quite a lot, isn't it, between League One and Championship, talking millions and millions of pounds in revenue. So that's something that the club would have loved to have had come in. And I always say this, I think it's always easier to stay in a league than it is to get out of a league. So now there's an expectation level, which you have to take on board, don't you? You would have had as a manager, and we as players would have been coming to a season knowing that we had to
I looked at the playoffs last night, and I remember when we got beat in the semi-final against Palace, and I didn't, we got beat, and obviously massively disappointed, but I wasn't sure if we were ready, as a club to go into the Premier League. Obviously, when we did, we came back down, but it was much stronger as a club.
Okay, Mike Bramley, how important is pre-season, and what makes a good pre-season?
A great away trip.
Well, he said he ain't going anywhere, Nigel.
With a couple of nights out.
I think it's, look, as a player, you go away in the summer. First and foremost, I've never been out of contract like those guys. I've always negotiated with you sort of, before the end of the season. So I was always comfortable going into a summer. That's lovely. But then when you get home, you kind of got half an eye on the next signing. And there's two reasons for that. One, is it someone in your position? How much further down the pecking order am I going? And two, where's the club going? What direction are we going? And so it's an exciting time. And I think you can gauge after signings that come in where the club's heading. And I think we know where the club's heading at the moment. So I think a lot of the players are going to be very excited over the summer.
Yeah, for me, it's not about judging results. It's looking at the players. Whenever I had a good pre-season, I started to worry a little bit how the season would start. When we didn't have a good pre-season, it didn't bother me at all.
But as a manager,
results-wise,
it's your responsibility to get the whole squad fit. You may have your 11 in mind for the first game of the season, or one or two, perhaps, areas that you ain't sure about. But you've got a responsibility to get the whole squad fit. So when you play in your pre-season, you've got to make sure everyone gets enough game time, because you never know when you're going to have to call on them, especially early on. So that's what I think that Nigel was talking about. He's staying in England, which is fair enough. With what's going on, we could have another lockdown. Who knows what's happening?
We had some great trips.
But we had some great trips.
We really had some good trips in.
I think what
we went up to Scotland one year.
Yeah, but I think the main thing that the players, they knew that the pre-season was going to be tough.
Yeah.
And perhaps too tough sometimes. I started thinking that way when we faded away a couple of seasons, thinking, did we put too much into the early bit? But you have to get a good start, especially in the Premier League. You've got to start well.
Yeah.
And that's what I was concentrating on.
Okay, couple more, because we do have to move on. Which of the current Charlton squad would you most have enjoyed playing alongside or managing?
I would have gone with Piercy. That's my kind of cup of tea. If I'd have had him alongside me, I think we'd have forged a very good partnership in understanding. You across your career, you play with some very good team players, and that's not just for the 11, but within your unit, and then as a partnership, as a pairing. And I think we're very similar in that respect. I'd have liked to have played alongside him. I think would have been a good combination.
Curbs, either played or managed?
What, the current squad here?
Yeah.
Well, you know I've got a couple of favourites,
Well,
but
yeah.
no, but
You know one in particular.
Yeah, but I quite like Forster Caskey, to be honest.
He'd be mine.
Yeah, what I see in him is a player that can go higher up. He's got the first touch. He sees a pass, and he does the other side of it as well.
Okay, Daniel Basham, great question here. I'm sure you have. But listen to this. I think I remember reading when George Costa left that he recommended a young Portuguese player called Cristiano Ronaldo to us. Is that true, or have I dreamt it?
I haven't dismissed it out of hand. I hope they got that look on camera.
Actually, let's get hold of George. Because if he was recommending Ronaldo, he could have told me.
Exactly. Daniel, you dreamt it, mate. Let's have one more then, shall we? Chris Brown, who was Curbs' best and... No, we won't do worst. Who best signing for Charlton? Chris thinks, by the way, it was either Mark Kinsella or Clyde Mendonca.
Well, I think what Brownie said earlier was probably true. That, you know, once you sign as a player, you want to see who's coming in. And I think when we brought Clive in, that was great. I've got to give great credit to Richard Murray and because it was a lot of money for us at the time. When we brought Clive in, it was the first pre-season that when they come back to do the first day's training, there was someone there that they went, oh, we brought a proper player in. Yeah. And it was the first big signing, really. There's lots of bad ones.
I think they're two great shouts, actually, but I also chuck in Keith Jones as well.
Yeah.
I thought Jones was a great signing for us at that particular time. Brought him in from Southend, cheap as chips, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And what he gave was phenomenal.
Okay, I can tell you the 90 minutes are up, but we haven't finished yet. We are going into injury time, maybe even extra time. Listen, let's move on to our final award now, shall we, of the evening, Supporter of the Year. Normally, we only have one Supporter of the Year, but this year, the organisers of the annual club awards ceremony have chosen 4. Here's why.
Hi everyone, just want to say thanks to all the people at the Fans Forum and all the other people involved for nominating me for Supporter of the Year. It's a great honour. What makes it extra special is that I've been nominated alongside 3 people who I really, really like and respect, Ollie, Tracy and Mick. And I'd also like to say and include Martin Rowden and John Little, who were also there that night at the Valley. Thanks everyone, up the Addicts.
Hello everyone, Ollie Groom here. Just wanted to say thank you to the guys at the Fans Forum for the honour of picking us guys as the joint supporters of the year. It was a great honour. Obviously that night in the boardroom was something I'm sure any one of us, thousands of Charlton fans, would have done in that situation. And yeah, we're all just very proud, members of staff and Charlton fans first and foremost. I think everyone can agree with that, Mick, don't you think?
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate what Ollie says there. Thank you to all Charlton fans. It's such an honour to receive this award. And to be honest, I think all of you watching would have done exactly the same as we did as your Charlton fans and had the goodwill of the club at heart.
Just want to say thank you. Absolutely means the world. It really does. It was a difficult time for all of us. But we thought we won as one. And I can't thank everybody enough for this. It is amazing, and I think for us working for the club, for you as fans, the result was amazing. That we still have this amazing club that we're all standing in right now. So thank you again.
It's a huge well done to Ben, Ollie, TJ, and Mick. A credit to this football club. Well done indeed. And I can only imagine how nervous they must have been coming into the boardroom and then what happened there. But this is what this club's all about.
Well, we've seen it before, haven't we? Yeah. You know, as Brownie mentioned earlier, the Valley party when we left the Valley, and you know, there was all sort of restrictions on coming back and etc. So the fans, you know, I think that, you know, history will, when you look at Charlton, talk about winning the Cup and Premier League. It's the fans that have kept this club going over whatever amount of time, and you know, it's the fans that come to the fore again.
Okay, that's about it for tonight. Enjoyed it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. One final question for each of you. How do you see next season going?
We've got to get promoted. I ain't going to put no pressure on Nigel, but I'd like to do it in the first two positions.
Yeah,
we've got to get promoted. We've got to get out of this league. And as Brownie said, when he said that about Championship and etc., I just thought about some of the clubs in there. And when we were in the Championship a couple of years ago, you know, they were selling that end out, which makes a big difference. You know, the crowds that you can attract, even in the Championship, we may even get to capacity in the Championship. You know, that's the big thing that we've got to go for.
Running?
Yeah, the expectation will be that it's playoffs minimum, you know, but it's playoffs minimum, but no, you've got to go up, you know, but what I'm saying is the playoffs will be minimum. Unfortunately, we sit here and we know how football operates. If you're suddenly sitting 10th or 12th next season, you know, the expectation levels are that we are going to be playoffs and hoping to push for automatic almost off the bat.
Okay, the fourth official only put 3 minutes up. That is the 93 minutes we've done. Can I just say, from a personal point of view, it's been absolutely fantastic to come back to this club. You know, being part of Back to the Valley back in 92 was I still put it in the top 5 games I ever played in my career, and I think I played in some decent games. And to come back here, was it 26 or so? Well, I can't even work out in terms of years onwards. Been absolutely amazing, it really has. I've loved every single minute of being part of Charlton TV, and we're going to leave you with some of the lighter moments from this season. Bye for now, and have a great summer.
When you haven't got the ball, you've got to make the pitch smaller, you've got to try and be, good in possession. And there's the music to get it all going. There we go. It just gets the adrenaline flowing, doesn't it?
We hadn't even agreed contract terms or anything, but I think I realised that at that point I was also a bad negotiator, because I just said yes. So
when me and Steve took over, we was like Tom and Jerry and Bill and Ben and this one.
Say that about you.
There's a lot of balls that a lot of people would volley that I do go with the bonds with, so it's just something that I like to stick my head in. I just think that get your head around the defender's studs.
I said I've got a problem here. I said I've got blood absolutely coming out the top of my foot. So I went to my car and I got the first aid kit out of my car. I bandaged my foot up, and I said, he said, I'll get the doc in early. Come in early tomorrow morning. I'll get the doc in. And then, anyway, Doc Fraser.
You want that import to go round to you?
I kept it, trying to keep it away from Curve. Don't tell Curve. I'll be fit. I'll be all right. And Doc gave me a little bit of a jab, padded it all out, managed to play. Anyway, scored in my head.
And I played with Curbs, and then Curbs took the job. We had some great times. Certain things I would love to say, but I can't. But we had some great times in the room.
We're doing an evening show later after the water show. Excited one.
Yeah.
The groundsman, but there's one in particular, and I put a ball down by that post, and I went, Charlie, what happened here? Do you know what happened here? And they go, oh yeah, that penalty, yeah. I go, oh yeah, that penalty.
The TV cameras were sent down and
Looks like I'm robbing it.
So after the game, I went bonkers. Not at him, at Lenny. I went bonkers at Lenny. I went, what's going on? Why haven't we got another set of contact lenses for our best player? Jesus, it never happened again, Rob, did it?
I got my YTS, I got my first year scholars and stuff, and went through that process, and it was actually Alan that let me go. So he broke my heart.
We'll come on to that in just 1 second. But what
played against Gascoigne, it might have been Middlesbrough, and he was doing a man-to-man marking job on him. Anyway, Gascoigne ran over to the dugout because he wanted to change his boots, and as he was changing his boots, Keith stood next to him.
That's man-to-man marking, isn't it?
You're my man. I like the way Nigel's talking. He's full of enthusiasm, dancing along to the Arctic Monkeys. Not many people know that. And,
You're still down with the kids, Curves, clearly, aren't you?
Well, no, I mean, some of the music they used to play, I just have to go out the dressing room. But, but yeah, it's all set up for us again tonight.